So, Hare Krishna, we're now going to have the Bhagavad Gita class. Jaya Rad Amadava Kunja Bihari Jaya Rad Amadava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yasodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yasodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yasodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you. Om Gyanartimyandasya Gananjana Salakaya Jakchurun Militanyena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitanyena Bhutaye Swayam Rupa Kadadmayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunat Tam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadavaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So before I begin speaking, I'd like to seek your blessings, that maybe I'll be able to speak something worthwhile, and also the blessings of those who may be listening online. Thank you. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutaya Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
So today we're reading from chapter 7, text number 2 and 3. Genam te aham savijanam idam vaksyami asheshataha yajnatva neha bhuyo nyajanatyam avashishyate. So I'll read the translation and purport of this one, and then we'll continue on to the next verse. I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. This being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. And purport. Complete knowledge includes knowledge of the phenomenal world, the spirit behind it, and the source of both of them. This is transcendental knowledge. The Lord wants to explain the above-mentioned system of knowledge because Arjuna is Krishna's confidential devotee and friend. In the beginning of the 4th chapter, this explanation was given by the Lord, and it is again confirmed here. Complete knowledge can be achieved only by the devotee of the Lord in disciplic succession, directly from the Lord. Therefore, one should be intelligent enough to know the source of all knowledge, who is the cause of all causes, and the only object for meditation in all types of yoga practice. When the cause of all causes becomes known, then everything knowable becomes known, and nothing remains unknown. The Vedas, Mukunda Upanishad 113 say, Kasmin e bhagavo vijnate sarvam idam vijnatam bhavaviditi. Okay, so we're going to continue on to the next verse, which is 7.3. So we'll recite the Sanskrit. You can follow along if you wish, and then we'll read the purport. Manusyanam sahasreshu kasyedya tati sedaye yatatam apisedanam kaschin mam vetidatvataha manusyanam sahasreshu kasyedya tati sedaye yatatam apisedanam kaschin mam vetidatvataha manusyanam sahareshu kaschedya tati sedaye yatatam apisedanam kaschin mam vetidatvataha. So if you like, you can recite. Thank you. Manusyanam sahasreshu kasyedya tati sedaye yatatam apisedanam kaschit mam vetidatvataha. Yeah, okay. So, and the translation. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. So, out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. And purport. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki. So, there are various grades of men, and out of many thousands, one may be sufficiently interested in transcendental realization to try to know what is the self, what is the body, and what is the absolute truth. Generally, mankind is simply engaged in the animal propensities, namely eating, sleeping, defending, and mating, and hardly anyone is interested in transcendental knowledge. The first 6 chapters of the Gita are meant for those who are interested in transcendental knowledge, in understanding the self, the super self, and the process of realization by Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, and discrimination of the self from matter. However, Krishna can be known only by persons who are in Krishna consciousness. Other transcendentalists may achieve impersonal Brahman realization, for this is easier than understanding Krishna. Krishna is a supreme person, but at the same time, he is beyond the knowledge of Brahman and Paramatma. The yogis and jnanis are confused in their attempts to understand Krishna. Although the greatest of the impersonalists, Sripad Shankaracharya, has admitted in his Gita commentary that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his followers do not accept Krishna as such. For it is very difficult to know Krishna. even though one has transcendental realization of impersonal Brahman. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes. Actually, I'm going to explain as I go along. So, impersonal Brahman, this is what's mentioned here. So, just to understand what actually is impersonal Brahman. So, it's mentioned that there's 3 different aspects of absolute realization. So, realization of the absolute truth. So, these are the impersonal Brahman, the Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So, the impersonal Brahman is the first stage of realization. So, this is what the Vedas initially, if one reads the initial 4 Vedas, this is the concept that they will actually come to. And so this is the first aspect of realization. So this is the actual effulgence of the absolute person. So it's described as the effulgence of Krishna. So some might perceive this as the all-pervading light and so on. So this is the impersonal Brahman. Then what's mentioned as the super self or the Paramatma. So this is Krishna in the heart as Lord Vishnu. And this Vishnu, he has 3 different aspects. So he comes into this material world and he pervades it. So he's in every atom and he's within the heart of every living entity. So he's always with us, our companion in the world, through all the different regions and all the different species of life. Krishna is always there. But all we have to do is actually turn towards Krishna. Shri Shri Radha Kukulananda ki, Sita Ram Laxman Hanuman ki, Shri Shri Gauranitai ki. And then beyond the super self, there's the Supreme Person, Bhagavan, which is Krishna, the original person. So, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, the primeval, Lord Govinda. Ishvara Parama Krishna, Satchit Ananda Vigraha, Anadir Adir Govinda, Sarva Karna Karanam. It is very difficult for the non-devotees to know him. Although non-devotees declare that the path of bhakti or devotional service is very easy, they cannot practice it. If the path of bhakti is so easy, as the non-devotee class of men proclaim, then why do they take up the difficult path? Actually, the path of bhakti is not easy. The so-called path of bhakti, practiced by unauthorized persons without knowledge of bhakti, may be easy. But when it is practiced factually, according to the rules and regulations, the speculative scholars and philosophers fall away from the path. Srila Rupa Goswami writes in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.101. Shruti Smriti Parunadi Pancha Ratra Vidim Vina Ekanikti Hare Bhaktir Utpaite Yeva Kalpate. Devotional service of the Lord that ignores the authorized Vedic literatures like the Upanishads, Puranas, and Narada Pancharatra is simply an unnecessary disturbance in society. It is not possible for the Brahman realized impersonalist or the Paramatma realized yogi to understand Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as a son of Mother Yasoda or the charioteer of Arjuna. So the Paramatma realized yogi, this is the yogi who meditates on the Lord within the heart, and they realize the Lord in the heart. So this is Vishnu in the heart. But I've heard it described before that even the self-realized yogi is basically Krishna conscious, but they still have to become aware of Krishna as Bhagavan, so as the Supreme Person. Even the great demigods are sometimes confused about Krishna. Muyanti yat suraya, mam tu veda nakasyana. No one knows me as I am, the Lord says, and if one does not know him, then he is Mahatma Surdurlabha. Such a great soul is very rare. Therefore, unless one practices devotional service to the Lord, one cannot know Krishna as he is, Tattvataha. Even though one is a great scholar or philosopher, only the pure devotees can know something of the inconceivable transcendental qualities of Krishna, in Krishna. His being the cause of all causes, his omnipotence and opulence, and his wealth, fame, strength, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. Because Krishna is benevolently inclined to his devotees. He is the last word in Brahman realization, and the devotees alone can realize him as he is. Therefore it is said, Ata Shri Krishna Namadi Nabhaved Grayam Indriye Sevan Mukhi Jivado Swayam Eva Sparatyara. No one can understand Krishna as he is by the blunt material senses, but he reveals himself to the devotees, being pleased with them for their transcendental loving service unto him. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1-2-2-3-4. So it mentions about different classes of society, the devotee, the non-devotee, and so on. So it speaks about, there's different classes, but generally people are more self-interested. And by self-interested, I mean in terms of material life. So it's very rare that people are naturally interested in devotional knowledge, in understanding Krishna. So this is very rare. It said that there's 4 different types of people who actually come to Krishna, and they're the souls that are actually they're distressed from the material world, they're desirous of wealth, they're inquisitive, or they're simply actually interested to know the absolute truth. So I'm going to read this is an excerpt from the teachings of Lord Chaitanya by Srila Prabhupada. So it explains a lot of the points very nicely that were mentioned in the purport. Religion includes 4 primary subjects: pious activities, economic development, satisfaction of the senses, and liberation from material bondage. Religious life is distinguished from the irreligious life of barbarianism. Indeed, it may be said that human life actually begins with religion. The 4 principles of animal life, eating, sleeping, defending, and mating, are common both to the animals and human beings, but religion is a special concern of human beings. Since human life is no better than animal life without religion, in real human society there is some form of religion aiming at self-realization and referring to one's eternal relationship with God. In the lower stage of human civilization, there is always competition between men in their attempt to dominate material nature. In other words, there is continuous rivalry in an attempt to satisfy the senses. Thus, driven by sense gratificatory consciousness, men enact religious rituals. Thus, pious activities and religious functions are performed with an aim to acquire some material gain, and if such material gain is obtainable in another way, this is so-called religion is neglected. This can be seen in modern human civilization. Since the economic desires of the people appear to be fulfilled in another way, no one is interested in religion now, the churches, mosques, and temples are practically vacant, for people are more interested in factories, shops, and cinemas. Thus they have deserted the religious places erected by their forefathers. This is evidence that religion is generally performed for the sake of economic development, and economic development is required for sense gratification. When one is baffled in his attempt to attain sense gratification, he takes to the cause of salvation in order to become one with the Supreme Whole. All these activities arise with the same aim in view, sense gratification. In the Vedas, the 4 primary subjects mentioned above are prescribed in a regulative way so that there will not be undue competition for sense gratification. However, Srimad Bhagavatam is transcendental to all the sense-gratifying activities of the material world. It is a pure transcendental literature, understandable by the devotees of the Lord, who are above competition in sense gratification. In the material world, there is keen competition between animals, men, communities, and even nations in an attempt to gratify the senses, but the devotees of the Lord are above all this. Devotees have no need to compete with materialists because they are on the path back to Godhead, back home where everything is eternal, full, and blissful. Such transcendentalists are 100% non-envious and are therefore pure in heart. Because everyone in the material world is envious, there is competition. The devotees of the Lord are not only free from all material envy, but they are also kind to everyone in an attempt to establish a competitionless society with God in the center. The socialist's idea of a society devoid of competition is artificial, because even in the socialist states there is competition for power. It is a fact that the principle of sense gratification is the basic principle of materialistic life, and this can be realized either from reading the Vedas or from observing common human activities. The Vedas recommend fruitive activities by which people can advance to higher planets, and they also recommend worship of the various demigods. For the purpose of attaining their planets. Ultimately, the Vedas recommend activities by which one can reach absolute truth and realize his impersonal feature in order to become one with him. However, the impersonal aspect of the absolute truth is not the last word. Above the impersonal feature is the Paramatma, or the Supersoul, and above is the Supreme Personality. Srimad Bhagavatam gives information about the personal qualities of the absolute truth, qualities which are beyond the impersonal aspect. Topics concerning these qualities are greater than the topics of impersonal philosophical speculation. Consequently, Srimad Bhagavatam is given higher status than the Jnanakanda portions of the Vedas. Srimad Bhagavatam is also greater than the Karmakanda and Upasananda portions as well, because it recommends the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, the divine son of Vasudeva. The Karmakanda portion of the Vedas is fraught with competition to reach heavenly planets for better sense gratification, and this competition is also seen in the Jnana-kanda and Upasana-kanda portions. Srimad Bhagavatam is above all these because it aims only at the supreme truth, the substance or root of all categories. So it speaks about the Srimad Bhagavatam there, which is it's known as the spotless Purana. So we have the initial Vedas, and then we have, as is mentioned in the purport, the Upanishads and the Puranas and so on. So these are actually vital to neglect them, and they're very important. So there's 18 different pranas, major pranas of the primary ones, and 6 of them are for people who are in the mode of ignorance, and then there's 6 for those in the mode of passion, and then there's 6 for those in the mode of goodness. So out of the 6 in the mode of goodness, one of them is the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Amala Purana. So this is called the spotless Purana. So the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's said in the Vedas that the Srimad Bhagavatam, that it's the ripened fruit of all Vedic literature. So what the Srimad Bhagavatam discusses is Lord Krishna and the pastimes of Lord Krishna and his devotees. So the pastimes of Lord Krishna's devotees, they're full with, turbulence and struggles. So all these pastimes, they represent and they give us guidance, because in this material world, we'll have all those different situations in our own lives, and it's very simple, really. As it was mentioned in the purport, the path of bhakti is not simple, but the process is still very simple. And the golden rule of bhakti is to always remember Krishna and to never forget him. So it's very simple, but it's Srila Prabhupada said, spiritual life is difficult, but material life is impossible. So that's something that we have to remember, that material life, it just doesn't work. It was mentioned in what we just read, is that the seemingly happy in terms of economic development and so on, but this is not real happiness, and even the society on a whole, it's not going to actually last in that sense, because Srila Prabhupada writes in terms of the actual society, it's based completely on money, so it's not going to actually endure. And we have so many different empires throughout the world and so on, but this current age, it's definitely not going to be one that will endure. And that's what Srila Prabhupada states, that actually a society which will endure is one which has God in the center, and it's going to have a lot more longevity. So that's the point, is that basically, people, they're so engrossed in the temporary, more frivolous activities of the material world, and they become so much absorbed and captivated, but this is by the Lord's material energy. So they may think they're happy, but this happiness is actually an illusion, and that's one of the 4 actual defects of the human, is actually to be an illusion. So this is the Lord's material energy, which literally has everyone spellbound, and they become completely enamored by the material energy, that they actually forget completely about their actual search and what's actually important in life. I'd like to ask if there's any questions of any kind. Thank you.
Then you said material, like spiritual life is difficult.
Yeah.
Material life is impossible. In what way? And how do we, what's the difference?
So we have material life and spiritual life. So basically, spiritual life is life with God in the center. So it's devotion to Krishna. So material life is actually It's basically the center is ourselves. It's a selfish existence, and it's mentioned that there's two different aspects of this selfishness. So one is actually our immediate, desires for sense gratification, and then it's called extended selfishness, which goes on to like family, country, and we identify, with all these different things, and we take them to be all in all. So that's the big difference. And then in terms of devotion, of course, we don't say that these things, aren't important, but these things are important when Krishna is in the center. That's the most important. So that's the thing that we have to actually inwardly endeavor and try to actually please Krishna. And also the nature of this material world, why it's impossible is because this material world is designed in such a way to actually cause us frustration. So, it seems like in this material world things never go according to plan. Um, we have so much, dreams, selfish dreams and so on. And basically that's the nature of the material energy, which is Krishna's mercy ultimately to cause us frustration. So, and to cause us, to put us in distress conditions and so on. And this is the way that Krishna will ultimately purify us. So material life is impossible because we can never actually be happy in material life. It's the nature of the world. Yeah. Thank you. Harjana Rajbu. Haribol. Thank you. Hi. No worries.
Talking about material
Hey.
and
Y-
spiritual.
Yes.
What is more important? What is higher and what is lower?
Okay. So, yeah. Well, I did mention it just now, but I'll repeat it. Is basically, yeah. Of course, spiritual life is much higher. Krishna mentions about like different energies. So basically, he says he has his spiritual energy, his material energy, and so when we're in this material world, it says in the Bhagavad Gita that they're trying to actually exploit the resources of this material world. So basically, we're trying to enjoy in the material world, um, but it's not actually befitting us in our original position as a servant of Krishna. So basically, it's not how we actually enjoy or actually receive like real happiness. So it's mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita that we're all eternal servants of Krishna, and ultimately in this material world we're like a fish out of water. We won't be happy for sure. So to naturally become happy, uh, and in a way that's actually natural for us, is to take to spiritual life, and that means a life of devotional service. Yeah, but it doesn't mean we neglect everything material either. We can still have, we use material things in Krishna's service. Yeah.
Because I remember many few months back, Geshe Maharaj once said that what is more important, spiritual or
Mm.
material?
Mm.
And he said both are really important.
Yeah.
Without material, we can't survive,
No.
and without spiritual, we can't progress.
Yes. Yeah. I'll just repeat. So basically, that both are very important. We need material things to survive, and spiritual life as well. So we have to see it in that way. Yeah.
Right? Thank you.
Thank you, Boo. Harshana Rasananda Boo.
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you so
You.
much. Very wonderful class. Today I have one question. And this particular verse says that out of many, many, many men, there's like unlimited jivas,
Yeah.
in the material world. Like hardly anyone like attain perfection. So it's already very hard to even be interested in spiritual life, but what to speak of attaining perfection. But also, out of all those people who try to endeavor for perfection, hardly anyone knows Krishna. And
Mm.
We're not like it's not that we all gonna go back to Goloka Vrindavan. My question is, if the chances of us actually attaining the goal is like so slim, like how determined should we be? It's kind of like a case of like motivation to even try. So what is the hope for anyone actually attain the goal?
Okay, so I'll just repeat the question. Like, yes, it's a nice question. Is basically, Rasnanapu is asking about. Srila Prabhupada was quoted about saying that most of his disciples will go back to the heavenly planets, or to the heavenly planets, and basically, what hope do we have on the path of devotional service to actually, to go completely back to Goloka Vrindavan and, to go back home. So, yeah, I remember that quote is that I believe Srila Prabhupada said that 80% of his disciples or so will go to the heavenly planets. But it's important to know that once we actually take shelter of Srila Prabhupada, that it's not that he just forgets us, and basically, this is life after life. It's not just one life. So if they endeavor sincerely, they'll go back to Godhead eventually. So it's mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita that there's, in terms of two types of transcendentalists that are on the path and don't actually, go all the way back to Godhead. So one of those, he might like fall from the path or something. He'll take birth amongst a family, aristocratic family, so he'll have a good birth in the material world, and he'll have like all facility to actually partake of spiritual life again. And then one who is more higher on the path, like nearly there, when they take birth, they'll take birth in a family of transcendentalists, of devotees, or transcendentalists. So they'll have even more facility in that regard to really take off again. So when we're sincere, we'll get there for sure. And Srila Prabhupada will never let us go. There's this story, I don't know the name of, but it was a certain, I believe he was a sannyasi actually, and he was a sannyasi, but he actually he just drifted away from ISKCON. He got married, and he never actually told his wife that he was a sannyasi and so on. So basically, she actually had no idea about ISKCON or Srila Prabhupada and so on. So it was said that then I'll have to research this story again in more detail later. But basically, even upon his deathbed, sometime later, this his wife actually met the devotees, and she was saying that he was saying this name Prabhupada. Basically on his deathbed, he could see Prabhupada, that basically Prabhupada had come to him, that Srila Prabhupada hadn't forgotten him. And so basically at the end of his life, he was conscious of Prabhupada. So it goes to show that, even when we take shelter, Srila Prabhupada will never actually forget us. I said if he has to, that, he'll literally drag us out of this material world, if he has to, in that sense. So basically, once we take shelter, we're never forgotten about. Yeah. So that's why it's so important to get, initiated, to take shelter of a guru, and to endeavor sincerely on the path. And based on our own endeavor, the quicker we'll naturally progress on the path. Without so much, tribulations. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So that'll be the end of today's Bhagavad Gita class, unless there's any more questions. But yeah. So we'll have Gaur Arti at 7. Yes, Boo. Yes, thank you, Boo. Yes, please. That would- No worries. No worries.
Do you think that's two process, mercy and our actions,
Yes.
our efforts?
Yes.
What do you think is more important?
Uh,
And what comes first?
yeah, it said that basically, if you know the Damodar pastime, Srimati Radharani, Mother Yasoda and Krishna, literally trying to bind Krishna. So basically, I said that this rope was like 2 finger lengths too short all the time, and I said that these 2 finger lengths are mercy and endeavor. So basically, the finger that is bigger is mercy. So yeah, we're all mercy cases, Kripa cities, that we need mercy to actually progress. So it's by the grace of Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj, the previous acharyas, and Krishna ultimately, how we progress. It's all through mercy. But we have it's mentioned, we have minute independence. So all we can do our best is to endeavor, and it's all mercy after that, to try and please the spiritual master and so on. Yeah. That's true. Thank you.
I just wanted to add to that. Prabhupada was asked this question by one of his disciples, and he said, "Seems like in Kali Yuga we are all born basically as Shudras, and we are all fortunate. No one has any qualification to have a car. How come they came to that path and they were chosen to actually, take that path of perfection?" And Prabhupada responded to him that actually he created the qualifications. Although we have no qualification, the spiritual master, by his mercy, he makes us qualified.
Yes. Yeah.
That was very nice.
Just a quick one, David, different add.
Yes, Ru.
Use a question.
Yeah, I was going to repeat what Rasananda Prabhu said, because for those online, basically Srila Prabhupada said that he gives us the adhikar, that he gives us the mercy as well when we lack the actual ability and so on. Sorry, Prabhu.
Just a quick one is in regards to the sannyasi who got married.
Yes. Yeah.
Even though he's fallen away,
Yes.
Prabhupada came to collect him himself. So really, there's not too late or not too late or too early.
Yes.
Or done enough. And there's no start or end really.
Yes.
If you say it was too late in my life, then that's wrong.
No.
If you say that I've done enough, is that wrong at all?
Yeah. It's true mercy, and we always have to endeavor. And just about what Rasananda Prabhu spoke about, it says, Divya Gyan Hriday Prakasito, that the Supreme Lord will give us knowledge within the heart, which we sing Guru Vandana, that the Guru Maharaj will give us knowledge within the heart. And also when we sing Seva Adhikari Di in the Tulsi Marani praise, that for the Adhikar, that by their mercy they can give us the capability. Yeah. Okay. So Bhagavad Gita ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, all glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you.
Jai Shri Radha Gokulananda ki. Jai Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki. Kiba Jaya 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 Gorachande Arati Kosoba. Janavitatavani Jagamanaloba Sakine nitai chahan Pame gadadara Nikate adeta shrini Vasa chatradara Osiyache goracha Ratna simbasane